Oh, hello, wake up. Good evening. It's Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, and I'd like to welcome you to the meeting of the South Brunswick Board of Education and to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of one of our faculty members that we lost, Miss Jennifer Spencer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Thank you. I'd like to read the Statement of Advance Notice. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6, also known as the Sunshine Law, was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting the interest is discussed or acted upon. The primary purpose is for board members to discuss and vote on board business. In accordance with this provision of this act, the board secretary has caused notice to this meeting 48 hours prior, including date, time, and location, to be posted in the South Brunswick Public Library and Board Office, filed with the Township Clerk, and communicated to the Home News and the Star Ledger. It is also posted on the district website. Roll call, Mr. Pulowski.
Mrs. Julie Ferrara. Mrs. Laura Hernandez.
Here.
Mrs. Deepa Karthik.
Here.
Ms. Alicia Khan.
Here.
Mr. Raja Krishna.
Here.
Mr. Mike Mitchell.
Present.
Dr. Smitha Raj.
Here.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Present.
Mr. Rajesh Soni. We have a quorum.
I would like to now ask for a motion to approve the meeting agenda. Ms. Khan, and second to Mr. Mitchell. All in favor?
Aye.
Yay, I remembered that. All in favor. The next order of business is the report of our student representative, Ms. Samira.
Hi guys, good evening everyone. Starting off with some school news, on January 17th, Student Council hosted our first pep rally of this year to recognize our winter athletes and showcase the talents of our different school organizations. There were different performances from our dance and our cheer team, Temptation, trivia with our staff and admin, and we even welcomed a phenomenal performance by our drumline. Many of our clubs and our class councils participated in games during the event, and the class of 2025 earned the Spirit Cup for overall best school spirit. Our SB choir is doing their yearly Singing Valentine fundraiser. They will be sold for $8 and $10 with the Singing Valentine plus a flower. And we are very excited to announce that contestant registration will open by the end of January for Mr. SBHS, an event that Student Council hosts annually to showcase the skills and talents of our senior class. This year's theme is SBHS's 2024 Wrapped. Our peer leadership program at the high school did a scavenger hunt with the school and our freshmen to better accommodate them to our building. And our High Tops program presented their workshops to juniors on embracing and evaluating identities. Our class councils have joined in on our Valentine's Day spirit and are selling candygrams and teddy bears during lunches to be delivered on Valentine's Day. And the class of 2026 is bringing back Bagel Fridays starting January 24th. Moving on to athletics, we are accepting sports forms for spring season tryouts. The deadline to submit winter forms is Thursday, February 6, 2025. Please get your child's sports forms in early to avoid delays in the process. More information can be found in your athletic handbook on the high school and the middle school website. Thank you for your time and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have the report of the superintendent, Mr. Fetter.
All right, welcome everyone. We have a great little audience today.
a couple things. You heard we did a moment of silence. We did lose Miss Jennifer Spencer, a third grade teacher at Brooks Crossing. It was a sudden situation. District was quite unprepared. It's been a very difficult time at Brooks, and our hearts and our thoughts, prayers are out for Miss Spencer. It's very difficult. So put that aside for the moment. This is School Board Recognition Month, and I see we have a great group. And I remember these kids from Target, right? Yeah. How'd you guys do? Was that fun? The best. Much fun. And how much was it again? Like $7,000 each? No, how much was it?
You get a raise when you're.
Say again? $370 each of you?
Wow.
Whew. Yeah, they left pretty quick in their souped up
They really did.
carts. It was pretty cool. So anyway, that's going to be happening shortly. I think we have Pete and Jody. Is that right? Where are you guys? There they are over there. They'll be taking care of that in a few minutes. I want to share something that to show what happens when students come to the mic. So if you remember, we had some students come to the mic to talk about a district-wide Spirit Week. So I had reached out to the principals, and they were all supportive. And so we will be having a school-wide Spirit Week, and I wanted to share a little bit. Jody, thank you for this great presentation. So I'll be using that right now to share. They're great. These are great kids, and really cool event. So on Monday, it's going to be Beat the Blues, and that is students will wear reds, oranges, and yellows to combat the Monday blues. On Tuesday, it's Twin Tuesday, so you can pretty much know what that is. Superhero Wednesday, it's pretty cool. And No Sweats on Thursday. Students will wear their, hello. Students will wear their coziest hoodies and sweatpants. And on Friday, Burn Bright Friday, students will wear their brightest colors. So again, just to share, I know the board likes to see what happens when kids come to the mic. And if you remember, we had a student come a few years back. Ohm came, and he wanted to start a chess club. That's alive and going, and that's great. So we do encourage students to come and share their thoughts and their ideas for the school district. It's always helpful. And to engage with the board when they get an opportunity. So again, thank you to that group. Really cool group of kids, and we've been in communication, and they're working with each school has a person. Sometimes it's a principal, sometimes it's a counselor, somebody who runs their different events, but that's all being taken care of, and it's off and running, so looking forward to that. So thanks again to that group of kids who came out. Quick note, kindergarten registration is open. Preschool interest form is now open, and the lottery, and is this correct, Suzanne? Lottery will be the week of February 24? That's good. So we get a lot of preschool parents, and I was over at Dayton today, and just two board members, if you just want a feel-good moment, call me up and say you want to go visit a preschool. There's preschools all over the district, and Dayton and Deans both are just preschool, and then there's 4 preschools at Constable. There's preschools all over, but I don't know how many hugs I got today. They don't even know me. They just see an adult and they hug. It's just the best feeling, and they were the cutest. I'm telling you. So just makes your day. I should start every day at a preschool. My day would be better. So it's really cool. Megan, you here? So Megan gets to start every day at a preschool, and she hosts and walked me around today. And there's one over there. We got one. We got an escapee. But really, it's something special. And I've been talking to various superintendents, some of them who have not done preschool yet in their school districts and have the opportunity. And my thing to them is, it is absolute ew the first 6 months. It was, I can't say the bad words, it was not fun. It was messy, it was uncomfortable, never dangerous, but always, it was problem after problem after problem. And now we're into it, and it is beautiful. And this community gained, right now, almost 400 altogether. Is it about that, 350? 350 of our preschoolers are now getting free full-day preschool, and not one of them, of those 350, would have had it if we didn't take this on. So thank you, Suzanne, Megan, for taking the lead on that, and your team, Megan. It's exciting. And so for parents that are interested, I asked Megan today how many we already had after opening it for 3 minutes, and it was, over 300? So We are expanding, remember, we are expanding, but we're expanding outside of the school district. We have no more space. So we're opening up additional spots. But that's where we are, and if you are interested in your kid, you got to get onto the lottery, do the forms, and then the lottery be February 24th. And Suzanne, how long after February 24th do people start to find out?
Spring.
Spring?
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. Tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about the 25-26 calendar. I sent you a piece on that this morning. I sent you a basic calendar, but we're going to be talking about what iterations would look like. Calendar's a big deal. I shared with you in the update today that just be prepared. Whatever calendar we go with, you are going to have unhappy people, happy people, and neutral people. Just understand there's no perfect calendar. We will not be providing a perfect calendar. We'll do the best we can. Performance of the Parendell players. I know some of you were there last night to see Puffs. It's also playing tomorrow and Saturday at the South Brunswick High School. So if you get a chance, take a look. Another save the date is South Brunswick Reads. You heard about that from the librarians and Evelyn the other night, and that is going to be Wednesday, February 12th. Just something to mark on your calendars from 6:30 to 8 at the high school, and all are welcome. I want to talk about real quick about budget news, because every meeting starting soon is going to be budget. But really right now, and it's going to lead into my second part of the conversation, a few of us were asked to speak to the Joint Committee on Public Schools on what happens if the federal government withholds funding from the states. Okay? That, I think, comes from some things people heard about the DOE being shut down and the federal government and all those things. So it has people worrying. So this joint committee, which consists of legislators from the Senate and the Assembly, they have a regular committee, and they asked some superintendents and business administrators to speak. So we spoke, and I'm just going to share with you what I shared with them in a nutshell. In a nutshell, we get about $5 million. If we lose $5 million, we still have to provide everything in a child's IEP. So what will happen is we will provide everything in a child's IEP. It will be done in a legal way, but I will not say a good way, but it will be legal. After that, all the money that we would have put into special ed from the federal government would then be taken from the operating budget, the regular budget. That would mean massive cuts. I told the committee 70 full-time teachers, or the equivalent of in any other position, would be cut if we lost $5 million from the federal government. I also said during my testimony, I do not expect that to happen. But since they asked us to be prepared, we'll be prepared, but I'm not expecting a note saying all of your funding is cut off. That would be very problematic, but since we were asked and I did testify to that, I wanted to share that with you as well. That leads me into one other component. The other concern we've been hearing, very small concern in our town, but is what happens if there's a raid of ICE in the town and in the schools. Again, not something else I'm expecting, but it's something that is of concern to people. So I just wanted to share that the New Jersey has put out a set of protocols for what's called immigration enforcement. And that is something we're getting our hands around now. This is all obviously very fresh. But again, we want our families we want to know the exact information and the protocols and the preparedness in the case that anything out of the ordinary occurs. As of right now, as I said, I'm not expecting either of these things, but we should be prepared, because it's not appropriate for us not to be prepared for whatever could happen in our school to our families and our students. So those are just two things that have come up recently that I know is on some people's minds. I know it's on people's minds because I've been getting emails and texts about it. So again, I'll reinforce one thing. The budget, we don't know yet what to expect with state aid. I am not expecting anything to happen with our federal monies. I can't say for sure. Obviously, I have no crystal ball for that. And as far as getting rated for immigration status, I'm not expecting it, but we will be prepared and know the law and know the rules on how we manage. and that's what I can tell the community at this point. People might be looking for some form of political stance. That's not what this board does. That's not what the superintendent does. I will share with you what the realities are of what we deal with. And at this point, there's a lot of hypotheticals going around, and that is what happens sometimes. But I can tell you the one thing I will say, which is not political, is we will take care of this district. That's what we do. Now, what that means exactly, I'm not exactly sure just yet on every factor, but that's what we do, and we'll be learning more as we go, and I hope to not learn anything that wavers on what I've shared as far as not expecting these things to occur. But that's where we are with all that. And on your board agenda tonight, we're asking you for some appointments, so we'll get through the agenda, and then we'll go from there. But is there any questions on anything I've shared tonight from the board?
Ms. Rogers? Yeah, so, thank you, Mr. Feder, for that update. I do have one regarding the preparedness. So, I know that there's only certain information that can be shared with the community and/or this board. What is your expectation in terms of sharing information? Is it going to just go to families? Is it going to go to the community? What is your thought process? It may still be too early, but
I'm sorry, on
the ice preparedness. Do we know, is there any idea if you're going to be sharing it just to the families or to the whole community?
sharing what exactly?
Anything that we need to do on our end, the district will be doing, excuse me.
We would be following the law. So all I'd be saying is we'd be following the law.
Okay, so whatever the law is for the state of New Jersey.
It's if a police officer came separate from anything to do with immigration and presented a subpoena to the district, we would comply with the subpoena.
Okay,
If we had concerns about the legality of the subpoena, we would contact our attorney.
okay,
If an immigration officer showed up and presented papers that were legally binding, we would either comply, or if we felt there was a reason not to comply, we would
Right.
call our attorney.
right.
But right now, that's all I would be able to say, and that would not be something I'd be sending home in a letter.
No, of course not. Okay, thank you.
I just wondered, when in February will we approve the calendar?
So the calendar is, this is what I shared with the board. The calendar tonight is we're gonna talk about this in new business. I'm gonna present a whole bunch of information. I've only shared with you one calendar version because I want to work from one calendar version to go over the other concepts of what calendar could be. And the expectation would be that we would then, once we hear from the board tonight, we would then decide on what our next steps are, but ultimately, the goal would be to approve a calendar at the next meeting. But you would have advanced copies of what that calendar would look like.
Thanks very much.
I'm good.
You're done? That's it for me. Okay. Okay, so thank you. So next up, I'm going to call up Mr. Ratin to come on up and Ms. Jody to come on up to the mic.
Good evening, Board of Education, students, families, and the South Brunswick community. This evening, we will take time to recognize the Board of Education for their willingness to give their time to make South Brunswick schools as great as possible. Just going to get our kids lined up. We have a whole interactive piece here.
So this evening, we have several students here to recognize the members of the Board of Education. These students were specifically selected because of their character. Many of them just received the Heroes and Helpers Award. Here to share more about these students, who will soon be presenting to the Board of Education, is Captain Gene Rickel of the South Brunswick Police Department.
All right, just so that you understand the nature of Heroes and Helpers and the kids that you have standing in front of you here, I'd like to give you a little background on it. Since 2014, the police department has been partnering with the school district, with the private schools, with Target, with the police unions. We all get together and make sure that we can run this program. these are the best kids. These are the kids that are the community helpers. These are the kids that always put everyone else's needs before their own. So our goal is to identify those kids and make sure that we recognize them appropriately. These are the kids who display exceptional positive interactions with other people, with peers, school staff, even throughout the community. We've had kids who were school leadership. We had kids who started charitable organizations outside of the school. We have kids who work one-on-one with others and help by advocating for other students, who help with translating, who just make sure that everybody is included throughout the day, so that if they see a kid on the playground who's not playing with somebody else, they'll approach them and say, hey, you know, come play with us, and make sure that everybody feels taken care of. So these are some really great kids. Just some numbers here. Each year we choose 12 students, one from each of the school buildings, 12 kids. We've got about 10,000 students that are eligible, and we choose 12. And that should tell you something about the nature of the recipients of this Heroes and Helpers Award. These kids have been involved in all kinds of things. They're role models and mentors. They help staff. They motivate and guide classmates. They typically offer kindness and compassion and cheerful words to everybody they meet throughout the day. They're kind of the unofficial goodwill ambassadors of the school. So when you've got a new student or a student who feels left out, they're the ones who generally will reach out and say, hey, you know, come, you know, be a part of our group here and make sure that everyone is well taken care of. And when we ask for the nominations, typically we see pretty much every nomination always says positive. This kid is a positive influence on the school. They've always got a positive attitude, which says an awful lot about their spirit. Some of the specific things they've been involved in over the years, actually actively reaching out to others to play on the playground, to become involved within the classroom, volunteering to work with special needs students, charitable organizations, advocating for welfare of fellow students, working with non-English speaking students, interpreting and making them feel welcome and included, demonstrating an outstanding moral compass, putting the needs of others above their own, and for the most part doing all of this with smiles on their faces, which tells you that they're not forced into this. They generally, you know, they enjoy all of what they do. They enjoy reaching out to others and being that positive influence. So these are the kids who are always working to improve the lives of others around them. So what they get out of this, I wasn't going to mention the specific dollar amount, but you can see it's pretty significant. That's a pretty good shopping spree. Aside from the gift card from Target, they also get a certificate that shows what a special occasion it is. We decorate a shopping cart so that we've got their license plate with their frame on the front of it, and they push it through the store and it attracts attention, and they get their own personal police officer shopper. And when anybody approaches and says, what's this all about, that police officer is always happy to tell everybody about the good things that this kid has done. So it's our way of taking care of these kids who seem to always take care of everybody else. Just a quick observation from that afternoon and from most of the Heroes and Helpers events that we've run. Many of our officers remarked afterwards that they had to remind the kids to buy things for themselves. These kids went right for the aisles to get items to donate to the food bank, items to donate to the needy. They went right for gifts to give to other people, and our officers had to remind them, hey, this is about you too, so make sure you get something for yourself in this. And I'd like to say that this was surprising, but after doing this since 2014, it really isn't. These are the kids that, for these kids, this is kind of the rule rather than the exception, that they're always thinking about everybody else. So that's just the kind of kids that these are, and we're always happy to show up and celebrate each and every one of them, and to let them know that you guys are the police department's personal heroes, and we like to recognize you for all the great things that you do for other people. So thank you guys all for doing that.
Here's a short video to show from that event, and we thought it was only appropriate for when we recognize our Board of Ed members that we have our heroes and helpers recognize these heroes and helpers who give so much back to our community. So here's a little video from that event.
I'd like to first thank Mrs. Bonnie Capes, the principal of Crossroads South, for putting that together for us this evening. Fortunately, she couldn't join us this evening, but
Bonnie's right.
she is. I knew earlier you had to be at something. Thank you so much. Before we have the students come up, I want to just take a moment. Captain Rickel is retiring in about a month's time, and he has put his heart and soul into this project and reaches out to the school district months and months in advance and puts so much time and effort into it. And it's been his baby, and it's been something that has truly made a difference in the lives of so many students. So I want to thank you for all you've done and congratulate you on your retirement. At this time, we want to thank again our wonderful kindergarten through 12th grade students who have been such great mentors, as Captain Rickel mentioned, to the South Brunswick community. At this time, we're going to have the students come up and present directly to you, the board members.
Hi, my name is Via Toy from Greenback Preschool. Thank you for staying up late. We were late even past my bedtime.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matthew Gomez Velasquez from Brooks Crossing Elementary School. Thank you for going to lots and lots of meetings.
Good evening. My name is Lena Miranda from Brunswick Acres Elementary School. Thank you for giving your valuable family time for all of us to have the best education possible.
Right up to the mic, really close to it.
My name is Preston from Cambridge Elementary School. Thank you for working together to solve problems like we do in school.
Come really close to the mic, okay? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Kelsey Sims from Constable Elementary School. Thank you for creating and joining committees to solve all those problems.
Come really close to the mic, okay?
Good evening. My name is Lucia Pia from Greenbrook Elementary School. Thank you for preparing for the meeting so you know what you're talking about. I mean, you have pre-meetings and post-meetings and meetings to schedule the meetings. It's a lot of meetings.
Come really close to the mic, okay?
Good evening. My name is Zorian Harden from Indian Fields Elementary School. Thank you for expecting nothing but the best from our students, our staff, our families, and from all of you too on the Board of Education. This ensures that we are all doing and being our best.
Come really close to the mic, okay?
Good evening. My name is Jocelyn Rojas Salazar from Crossroad North Middle School. Thank you for highlighting important community events so we all know what's happening in South Brunswick and attending events at our school. From concerts to football games to musicals, that's a lot of events.
Good evening. My name is Alexis Monday from Crossroads South School. Thank you for going the extra mile to speak with the state and politicians. It must be hard to get through to some of them and make change, but you did it to advocate for our district.
Get really close to the mic. You can pull it up a little bit.
Good evening. My name is Andres Como from South Brunswick High School. Thank you for your commitment to our Board of Education. As a small token of our appreciation, the Transition Center has created a thank you gift for you, including a stovetop potpourri jar and thank you cards. We also have a certificate celebrating you. Please turn around now and find your gift and certificate on the stage. Thank you for all you do and for all of us.
Thank you. And at this time, you'll see your presents and your gifts are on the stage. And we also want to take a picture with all the board members and all the kiddos. So board members, could you come in front of your seats? And then we'll have the kiddos stand there and take a picture with everybody. Thank you for all you do for our district. We really appreciate you.
I brought my card. I brought my
honorary board member.
Moving furniture around. That was really good. Good, thank you. All right. I promised you we had it under control. Yeah, we're done. What? That's no song in there. All right, we're good.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
One second, just one second. Well, I just wanted to say that you're why we do what we do. You are the reason. And what an awesome reason. I had the privilege of being at Target, which, by the way, would love to thank Target for partnering with the police department. It's an awesome thing. But I had the privilege of being there. And of all the awards, you know, we are so blessed. We get to see kids in high academics and who goes to state champs and does all that stuff in athletics. But of all the awards that we get to see and we get to participate in, the award of the heart, which is why we're here tonight, for me, is the best award. Because we can teach you how to read and write and throw a baseball and a football, but to be a kind, decent, giving person, that comes from inside. So that is the best. And parents, you need to go like this and pat yourselves on the back. Because parents, job well done. Well done. So you guys keep doing what you do. It is such a blessing that we have children like you, and this is what we do. So, and Captain Rickle, where is he? Thank you so much, because I saw what you did and what an undertaking that is. So I sure hope you have somebody that you're training to step into your place to do this next year. What a wonderful, wonderful thing. So thank you. I speak on behalf of the board that we could not have asked for kinder, sweeter people to present to us your gratitude. So we give it right back to you. Thank you. Right now. Okay, so now kids, it's a lot of boring stuff that's going to go on. It kind of is. So you are welcome to stay, parents, but please feel free to get up and leave. We will give a couple-minute break right here, so if you want to leave, go right ahead. Okay, so I love that. That's like, that blesses me so much to see what these kids do from their heart. So the next order of business is for board committees and liaison reports, but we're not going to have any because we have to vote on our new committees tonight. So we're going to do that. And then after that, we have our public comment. In our board retreat, we had decided, instead of having two separate ones where we had public comment just for agenda items only, and then another one for anything, we just said, well, let's just have one for anything, whether it would be for agenda items only or if it was for anything. So this is our public comment, but I need to read the statement first. So the Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Complete copies of Policy 0167, which govern this portion of the meeting, are available to the public at the auditorium entrance, online, or by contacting the board office. To permit the fair and orderly expression of comments, we ask that participants be recognized by the presiding officer and preface comments by announcing his or her name, place of residence, and group affiliation if appropriate. And by complete, do we have the sign-in sheet up there? Okay, and by completing, there's a sign-up sheet up there, so just to sign all that. in. Please print legibly, or we will be unable to document your name for the permanent record. Each statement made by the participant shall be limited to 3 minutes. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic. Mr. Pulowski will indicate when you have 15 seconds remaining. All statements should be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question board members. No discussion between a participant and respondent shall exceed the 3-minute limit. It is our plan to listen to each member of the public. Once all questions and comments from all members of the public are made, the Board of Education may respond or respond via email in the most timely and efficient manner available. All questions and comments made will be noted. Okay, so that's it. Mr. Pulowski, do we have anybody pre-registered?
We have no pre-registrations.
Okay. With no pre-registration, do we have anybody in the audience that would like to come up and comment on anything? Okay, not seeing any. I close this portion of the agenda. Okay, board minutes. Okay, right now. I thought we did. We did that in the beginning. I did the board minutes. I did. Oh. Okay, so now I'm looking for the approval of the board minutes of January 23rd. Oh, for December 19, 2024. And Ms. Rogers, second. Okay.
Any changes?
Now old business. Any changes? No changes? Okay. Now, the next order of business is old business, which is enrollment.
A real quick update. The main update is Dave and I met today with Township Administrator, and he provided us some information that he's going to be taking care of regarding the new construction. Obviously, that's a big deal. As I've shared with you, we have 3,100 units that have been placed in South Brunswick that at some point will be built. Right now, we are looking at 3 specific areas. One area where we already have 46 students coming from, which is the 1,700 units behind Black Horse Lane on Northumberland. There are approximately 6 buildings completed with 15 units per building, and we are currently receiving 46 students K-12. We'll be getting an update on the expected amount of units completed by this July, as well as following July, so we can start planning and preparing. The other big unit that is, I think, pretty much getting close to being ready to come online are townhome apartments on Henderson Lane that are pretty much completed, and so what they're going to do is they're going to check the certificates of occupancy, the count, and give us that information so that we can prepare on what we might expect depending on what type of unit it is. Okay, so we expect different amounts for different number of bedrooms and whether or not it's a low-income housing or not. Those things come with a basic formula we'll use to determine expectation over a 5-year yield. But that's all what we do to try and make sure we're balancing the budget accordingly to our expected number of students. The third one has no current units online, but is also very large, and that is the one on Shocks Crossing and Ridge Road. That one's moving fast, but there's currently nothing finished there. Those are 3 we're watching. Those 3 alone represent over 2,200 homes. So those are the 3 biggies that are coming down the pike. Obviously, that's important information for us. And Brian Bidlack, who's the Township Administrator, will be working with David on getting us the most up-to-date information. And David will continue to keep that updated as best we can. Budget season is a pretty big deal, and this is pretty big, important information. So we thank Brian, the Township Administrator, for working with us and getting us the information we need for that. And that was a result of our meeting today with the Township. So that's my update on enrollment. Any questions?
Henderson's almost up.
Henderson's, the buildings look complete.
Really?
on this side of Henderson, on our side of Henderson.
By first student,
Yeah,
right? Yep,
that area,
By first
yeah.
student bus,
Yeah,
right by Royal Oaks.
three buildings, I believe.
I gotta go take a ride because I can't see it.
Gosh, last time I went there, it was just like leveled.
I'm telling you, things
Wow.
move.
I honestly can't see it. I gotta go look at it.
Yeah, so. Anyway, that's the update on enrollment.
Next up is,
To the mic on this one.
okay, so this is new business. Mr. Fetter is going to talk about the calendar.
Reggie's going to help me out a bit. So the first thing Reggie's putting up there for us is a document that outlines kind of how we approach a calendar. There are certain factors within the calendar that kind of dominate its construction. And the first one, of course, is when you start. Now, right off the bat, someone might ask, why don't we just start before Labor Day? Our contracts with our staff start on September 1st. And there doesn't seem to be any interest in any adjustments to that at this time. So all of our calendar iterations that we'll play with all will start with 2 teacher days, because teachers have 185 days and students have 180 days. So a calendar has 185 school-type days. The first 2 start Tuesday and Wednesday after Labor Day on every calendar you'll look at. That's not really changing. The other part I just shared with you are the contractual professional development days. That's all contractual. There are 5. Questions we might get asked sometimes are, well, if you take 2 early release days, can that count as 1? The answer is no. 5 full days, those 1 and 2 are not changeable. Now you get into where there's discussion. The third one I'll talk about today is how we handle religious holidays. I'll get into that. The fourth is November, which is parent-teacher conferences. A few years back, we moved to November being a full week off attached to NJ convention, and that is not a requirement. That is a choice. The fourth is spring break. There's nothing in any code or direction that requires a district to provide a spring break. That is not something that you have to do. These are traditional things we do. Winter recess. There's nothing that says you have to have a winter recess. There's nothing says that if you do have a winter recess, when that needs to occur. Okay? There might be a holiday or 2 in there that you would take, but you're not required to do that. And then the school end date, of course, is a big deal. So this year, obviously, is as late as I can ever remember going to school, June 27th. And if we can, Reggie, can we move to calendar 1, please? Just give Reggie and I a chance here. Reggie's going to do his best, but I did give him a kind of a daunting task. Look at that. That's draft 6, draft 4, draft 2, draft 1. No, draft 5. Yep. There we go. All right. So this is the calendar I sent you. This is a traditional. Any way to make it a little bigger, Reg? We're going to find the sweet spot. A little higher, a little higher, a little higher. Stop! Thank you, Reggie. So that's as big as we're getting. This is a traditional calendar with all of the things in the calendar that we traditionally do. That means it starts after Labor Day. We take a day off on all of the holidays that we have been doing. Those holidays, I'll do them in order. We start with Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We have Diwali. We have, we have Martin Luther King. We have Thanksgiving. We have a winter recess. Then we have President's Day. March 20th is the first day of Eid. Then we have a spring break. Then we have in May Memorial Day, and then the 27th is the second day of Eid, and the 19th of June, and this calendar is Juneteenth. That's what we currently celebrate. The reason a calendar could shift is we do not take a day off of school if that one of those days falls on a weekend. We don't celebrate it a different day. We don't do that. As you can see on this calendar, it's basically a full Monty. Every possible holiday falls on a school day. Now there's other holidays, but we don't recognize them as a school day in our calendars. These are our traditional holidays. As you can see, once we do that, we kept our traditional November as it is. The 5 blue that you see are the 5 days that I told you the staff works 185 days. So that is there. This one ends pretty much just like this year. It ends on June 26th, that Friday. That is if we do the traditional calendar. The other thing in the calendar I should have added also is April 6th and May 26th. Those are inclement weather days. People always ask, why don't you put those at the end of the calendar? That way, if you don't use them, we can shorten the calendar. We can't do that because we have to nail down high school graduation, and that is not mobile. That's why that is. So before I move on, and how we're going to move on is we're going to address all of the key factors I said, minus the first 2, which we can't address. We will still start every calendar on the 2nd with a staff day, and we will still have 5 staff days. Nothing else is required of us. Before I move on, do you have any questions?
In relation to the religious holidays that you post on the side of the calendar months, I noticed that you mentioned Diwali and Rosh Hashanah and everything, but Christmas is not identified as a line item holiday.
Yeah.
I just wondered why that is.
It falls on a day we're closed already. Just like Good Friday falls on Friday, April 3rd.
Well, it seems kind of odd.
Okay. Okay, any other questions before we move on? All right. Reg, can we go to calendar 2? I'll describe. There it is. All right, now we'll do there we go. All right, thank you, Reg. Okay, so this calendar I call Blow Up November calendar. As you can see, the big shift in the calendar is the 3 days attached to Teacher Convention, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. What complicates this is the 4th is Election Day. There are rules about Election Day. Let me explain the rules so you understand. The more you understand, the more we'll be able to move forward. So I'm going to go a little slow, but I want you to have all this. The rule from the governor on Election Day is this. A school that has a polling location can be virtual. However, a school that does not cannot be virtual, which means in a district like ours, we would be split, virtual and not virtual. That's not a good scenario. So if we do have school on that day, we either have a full day with everybody present, which is what we've always done in the past, or you can make an early release day, or you keep it closed. That's the days. In this version of the calendar, we do not have that full week of November. We would have school on the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Now, I also want to share with you the 3rd and the 5th, not the 4th. The 4th would be a teacher day. I want to share with you that that teacher day can be moved. In other words, we could have school on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th and move the 4th to anywhere we want on the calendar. So this is just a sample. What I am looking for from the board is what concepts are you interested in? A traditional? Do you want me to maintain November? Do you want to blow up November? Don't worry about the specifics. The key things to worry about are the big ticket, which in this case is blowing up November, and the end date. People want an end date usually as early as possible. That's what we look for here. So, the end date is the same, June 26th. You didn't save any time or dates, you just moved where the blue chips were, right? That's what I mean. You can take all those blue chips except for the first two in September. You could take the one in January, the one in November, and the one in March and move them wherever you want them. That doesn't save you any time on the calendar. There's still days on the calendar. Okay? So, yes. Trust me, we're not even close to that yet. Yeah. You'll have, trust me, you're going to have, you might like that today, but in a minute you might not like that anymore. So I asked you to just hold that. But for right now, you like keeping November as is.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the calendar that moves that away. What this does is it allows us to do professional development across the board, but it has one other key factor. The key factor, if you do this, is this would probably require us to then go to early dismissal days for conferences like we used to do. That's one way you look at it. Another way you look at it is you hold conferences on one of the days the same as we do now, just on a different day. All of those are options. The big thing is, do we want to maintain November as is, or are we open to a change? That's what I want you to think about from calendar 2. And how would you want to see parent-teacher conferences done? That's all linked to November. Before I move on, any questions? Yeah.
The way we have parent-teacher conferences now, they're full days?
A full day, one day fully closed.
Okay,
They meet that day and then the evening.
okay. So wait, fully closed, like the kids aren't there?
Correct. We use one of the blue days.
Okay,
We use one of the PD days. So when we do that, we lose a day of PD, but we get a cleaner situation for parent-teacher conferences. Generally, communities are not thrilled with extra early release days. That avoids that. But again, that part of the conversation is not necessary for today. The question is about November, knowing
okay.
we could still choose to do conferences one way or the other.
okay. Okay, thanks.
Know this, but I can't remember. That day, November, where you have full-day closure
Yes,
for parent-teacher conferences.
yes.
Are we getting, what type of, what are we getting out of it in terms of percentage of parents that are going during the day? Are we finding it's being utilized?
We offer it two ways. We've been offering, because it's been during that November week.
Right.
We offer it as a virtual option for the parent.
Right.
Or an in-person option.
Right.
So parents that are away or are using that time to vacation still have the option to virtually, like, I do not have currently the stats with me.
I think
But
that would be important.
just keep in
somehow.
mind,
Okay.
it doesn't change what I'm
No,
asking.
No, I
So
understand that.
but I got to stay on, I don't want to go too much red herring.
Okay.
The issue of how we deliver conferences can still be on a full day.
Right.
Or it can be during early release days.
That's where I'm going.
The question is,
Right.
which does not change the calendar question.
Right.
The calendar question is, do we maintain November
Okay,
or not? That's what this calendar shows.
thank you.
All right? Yeah. Rajesh, into the mic.
I can't read. What's 6th and 7th November?
Which month?
November.
The NGA.
Oh, NJEA convention. We're always closed, statutory in New Jersey, that all schools are closed on that weekend, that Thursday and Friday, whichever days it falls upon. It's called the New Jersey Education Association Convention.
Got it.
And that's so the red there is mandatory. There's no choice.
Okay.
Go ahead, Deepa.
My question was, if we go to this calendar where we don't have that entire week off starting November 3rd, what's the advantage to the community? What are we trying to achieve?
The change would be that you're adding another professional development opportunity for staff instead of using the day the way we currently use it. But also you're spreading out those days to attach to other places to have different breaks across the year. That's the trade-off. There's no trade-off on end of the year in this calendar.
Less days off in November.
Less days off in November, which is better instructional time.
Still a 26 June.
Right, because you're not changing anything except for moving the blue chips.
It's less days off in November, but not less days off.
Not days off in
We're
the
just
year.
we're
So
just
for example,
spreading them.
Deepa, let's say we look at February. Let's say we wanted to add the blue chip from November 4th and put it by February 13th to make that a 4-day weekend in February. People do that instead of attaching the days together to spread out when professional development occurs and a little more breaks in the course of the year. I'm not, just so you know, I'm not advocating, I'm showing you options. That's all I'm doing right now.
Just that question, could that blue chip, I don't want teachers getting upset, I'm just a question. Can that blue chip move to December where you have the 2 weeks?
So just remember, the blue chips can be moved.
They can be moved there.
But
Okay.
really, the
not
hard
great.
part of doing this, and I knew I was going to run into this, the hard part is this.
Yeah,
The only thing I want you to think about on this particular slide,
is the blue chip.
no,
This is November.
is November.
Oh, yeah, but if we move the blue chip is what I'm saying.
I can move the blue chip in November
Yes.
out of November.
Correct, that's my
And I
question.
can put it on any other school day that we want.
Any school day, okay.
So this year, we had the teachers come in 3 days in that week of November?
We have for the last bunch of years.
Yeah.
So we have. So how's that working for the teachers? Have we talked?
I would say that PD would be better served by not doing it that way.
Okay. I would think that they're burnt out after 3 days.
That's a long week,
It's a
even
long
though
week.
it's
That's a
not kids.
long week.
So
Exactly.
this idea is born out of reverting back to how we used to do things.
Right, right. We
And I
did
probably
that.
would move November 4th out of that blue
Yeah.
chip out of
Yeah.
there and just have school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And move the blue chip somewhere else, to be honest with you.
That's what I'm thinking.
But that's not relative for what I'm asking you to think about yet.
Okay, I get it now, okay. What does the magenta stand for, the early release?
That's if we decided to have early release conferences,
Okay.
parent-teacher conferences across 3 half-days like we used to do.
Oh, okay.
That's just a sample of where that could go, what it would look like on a calendar. That's all.
On how many parents now do online conferences?
So I don't have any data with me on that, but
If you had to guess.
I'm not going to guess, and it's not the least bit relevant
Okay,
to what I'm asking for just this point.
okay.
There's a lot of good topics. How we deliver conferences is a good topic. It doesn't change the calendar, except if we want to take one of the blue chips and make it a full-day conference like we currently do, or move that to professional development and go back to early release conferences, which can change anywhere on the calendar.
Focusing on right now is that first week in November. That's it. Not conferences, not vacation, not PD, not nothing. Just that first week, whether we want the teachers to have PD there, not have, just, are we blowing that up? Like he said, when he says blowing it up, meaning, are we going to change? Thus, so out of that whole calendar, we're looking at November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's all we're looking at. November 6th and 7th are non-negotiable. That's from the State Department. So that's the only thing that we're looking at, not anything else. Am I correct
All
with
right.
that?
Yes, I'm going to move on. So,
Okay.
draft, next draft. I think I already collapsed 3, so let's just go to 4.
That's fine.
All right. Now you're all sitting down, right?
He said he deleted it by accident.
So, to everybody watching and whoever is going to have a kind of comment about what I'm going to show you, uh-oh.
You lost it.
Reg, you can't lose number 4, Reg. That's the fun one. Ah. A little bigger. A little bigger. A little bigger. All right, Reg, thanks. All right. Okay. The question I get asked is, why do we end so late? So I prepared for you a calendar that would get you out of school on June 12th.
That is early as hell.
Instead of June 26th. That's 2 full weeks earlier. Like anything in life, To get something, you give something. The give here is very, very big give. So I'm going to show you what it means. This means all religious holidays that are not federal holidays would be school days. That includes 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Well, I'm going to re-say, anyone watching, I am not recommending this. I am not saying this is a good idea. I am showing the community and the board what it looks like when you get the question, why do we end so late? Okay? That's all I'm doing right now. To all the people watching. You would go to school on the Jewish holidays. You would go to school on the Muslim holidays. You would go to school on Good Friday. You would go to school on Diwali. That's how this would be. People asked about Christmas. Christmas is a federal holiday and falls in what we currently call winter recess. But all the holidays that we currently, this is just the way we do it in South Brunswick. This is not the same way every district does this. My wife's district does not take any of these holidays as half day or full days. They are all school days. And different districts do different things. There's no rule. To get us early, all of those magenta are holidays that we currently recognize and observe with a school day of closing and opening them. As you can see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. But I said you get 2 weeks back. So what else did we do? Well, we would cut the winter recess short by a day and come to school on Friday, January 2nd. That's one option. You could you cut the spring break short by 2 days. Juneteenth does not come into play because the school year would already be over. Those are your extra days. Now, we could do a lot of things with this calendar. If the board wanted to do this calendar, we could play around with the blue chip days again. We could also blow up November. You can plug in a blue chip on January 2nd and make it a flex day for staff. You could do all kinds of things. But the only thing I want you to think about with this calendar is, are you prepared or interested in ending very early, however, coming to school, having schools open on all of the current religious holidays that we currently close for? Huh? It's a discussion. I'm not looking for votes. If anyone has anything to say, please feel free.
I just wonder, isn't this a conversation that must take place between staff and the board? Like, why would we vote on this without hearing from them what they see as the best possible?
So one thing that could happen as a result is we are able to survey the staff.
Yes.
But in designing these options, we did work with the union.
You did? Okay, I was going to
Staff.
ask that. Okay. So the union saw all of these options?
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't mean they've agreed to
Right.
or love them,
Right.
but involved in the process.
Okay. Okay.
But again, if we wanted to get more of a compelling argument, you can survey staff, you can survey community. Maybe that's the heat, Dave? So the board has no obligation to do that, but it's a good practice if you think you're doing something far-reachingly different to survey. So I was going to be recommending, depending on where you go with this, that is an option the board could take.
Mm-hmm.
But if a child wants to, if we were to go with this, the excused absence on religious
It would be an
days still
excused absence on a religious holiday.
remain. Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
that. Yeah, okay.
I want to talk about December.
Okay.
We've always had this 2 weeks, thereabouts, 5, 7 days, depends on the
It depends
calendar.
on when it falls,
Right.
yeah.
So the question I would have is, if we did not have, if we had school, it's hard for me to see it, I can't see that far. The 29th, 30th, and the well, not the 31st, but if we were in school that Monday and
You could have school the
Tuesday-
29th, the 30th, the 31st,
Right.
the
if-
24th, the 26th.
So that would, so 29th, 30th, 31st, what did we say, the 20th?
You could, in other words.
That would be
you-
5 days.
In other words, you could remove the winter recess.
One second.
You could remove spring break.
Right.
You could remove whatever you want.
So I just, this is a discussion, this is not, I'm just putting it out there. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holidays up there that would be removed, right? But if you could get those holidays back by shortening winter break, or by
You're not
taking
shortening
those
winter-
days out and giving them back,
You-
would
you-
that be an option?
So remember what I said. I've already provided you what you're required to do and said everything else is up for grabs.
I
So
want to make sure that winter break, though,
winter break,
is touchable.
as I said from the very beginning,
Okay.
winter break is something we traditionally do.
'Cause that would be
What
5
we would
days.
always be thinking about is, do students and staff need a break?
Exactly, right.
So.
I'm just trying to come
I'm
up
telling
with
you,
a
that
discussion.
should not even be well, everything's an option.
Everything's on the
But being in
table.
the
That's why
school
it's just a
system,
discussion.
you're not gonna get anything out of these kids at that point. Teachers, like, that's a very
So
difficult
we-
thing.
We did not present
To take the.
any
winter break
calendars
away. Yeah.
that removed winter break.
Okay, that's.
We
good
did
to know.
present a calendars that have us come back on, all the calendars have us coming to school on the 22nd and 23rd.
Right.
Which is bad. which is
None
not
of the
bad.
calendars have us doing anything other than that, and then some of the calendars have January 2nd and different ways to use January 2nd.
Okay.
But this calendar really, when people say, how do we make this calendar end earlier? This is how you make the calendar end earlier. And as I said, is this worth the trade? I would expect of anything I show you today, this calendar will bring the most angst.
Yeah.
And as I remember telling the board at one point during COVID, if you make a certain decision, you'll be met with visceral anger. This is that decision.
Yep.
So I would tell you, if you want to do this, you cannot back down after the tomatoes start coming. And they will be coming. They will be coming on social media. They'll be coming in person. This will remind some of the people that were here during certain superintendents' tenure of what this room looks like when it's completely filled with angry mobs. But if you do it, you do it.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I would always want to be honest with the board and let you know if you weren't thinking already what this would produce, it would produce that. Yet, it would produce a lot of happy people because they're very excited about getting out on June 12th. So you got to keep all that in mind. I will tell you the reason I showed this calendar is really because this is what people ask for. Why does it go so late? And there are people that want to know why we do one holiday versus another holiday. So you can't pick and choose. Someone's like, well, what if we don't do these holidays? You guys can make the decision. I won't even be suggesting you pick and choose which holidays you like and dislike. But it's all or nothing. And the all really includes everything but the federal religious holiday of Christmas. Otherwise, I would have had to put Christmas in there also. But at this point, that's what it will look like.
No, Easter Sunday. Easter's on a Sunday, every Sunday.
Good Friday.
But that's not, but that, you don't have to have it
So
all.
it's
The
good to
2
see
weeks,
that Monday, the 22nd, and the 2nd are actually not included now, too. So a lot of discussion was not only about the ending date
Yeah.
being so late, but why do we have 2 weeks off? You
Yeah.
know, and so this is good to see this.
Just to see what it looks like.
Understand why.
the thing we also look at when we do a calendar is, does it go into the next week?
Right.
So even if you give 1 day back, like in other words, if you come to school on January 2nd, so that, because it's kind of weird to come to school on one Friday after the break and then have a weekend, that's just kind of weird. If you did that, it pushes the end day to the following Monday. And then you're kind of losing some of the pizzazz of what you get. So again, based upon community questions I get, I'm showing the calendar. Let's go to the next one, because we're having fun so far.
The other problem is you cut out these holidays, kids won't show up at school.
5, there it is. Okay, 5. Little smaller. A little bigger. Thanks, Reggie. All right, so 5 is another version of the calendar. This calendar blows up November. It shortens spring break for staff. It would maintain spring break for students. That is because we took the 2 blue days from November and put them attached to April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at the end of March, making that a full week, which is a traditional spring break, but not for staff. It also puts the 2 PD days backing up against a time off, which isn't desirable for the PD side of things. This is not a desirable calendar for PD. It also includes the last day of school being a PD day on paper, but that would be something we'll call a flex day, which I don't have to get into right now, but it's a strategy you can use with PD for one of the days. The attractive part of this calendar is you end on Tuesday the 23rd. I will also add that Tuesday the 23rd at 10 o'clock at the Cure Center for graduation is available, as is Friday the 26th at 10 o'clock at the Cure. Now, that's not necessarily a reason to make a decision, but it is a factor to be considered. In this calendar, the main thing to consider are 2 big ticket items and then a third positive outcome. This calendar requires the removal of November and requires a shortened spring break for staff. The give back that staff might not like that is very true. That would be something we'd probably want to continue to talk about, to Julie's point. But ending 3 days early is attractive, and moving to a flex day, we believe, will be attractive for staff. So there's, like anything else, there's positives and negatives. I told you before we started, I'm not going to be able to present to you the perfect calendar that gets everything. Second. Whichever.
That's almost,
Election day, we are allowed to be in school.
okay, so would we go to, if you're a polling school, you're virtual?
I would not be recommending that you only virtual half the district,
So then everybody would be here whether or not there was polling in the
which
school
is the way
building?
we've always done it.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Question. Can we move the spring break currently in the first week of April to, let's say, 23, 24, 25, and PD on 26, 27? So they don't have a shortened spring break. They can club it with the Good Friday and the
So-
weekend and that.
You can. Here's what happens. If you move Friday, April 3rd off of the spring break, you have to add that back as a day off for Good Friday.
Oh, or the other way, I would say. I'm sorry, I got a little confused. So if that is the Good Friday,
Yeah.
oh my.
It's weird because March is on the other page, but it is
Yeah.
currently aligned to be 5 straight days. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday right now. Good Friday is the 3rd. The attractive part again, ending on the 23rd, it's attractive. I don't know that blowing up November is attractive for this community. I don't know that shortening spring break for staff is attractive for this staff. Those are just things. Again, how you shorten the school year is you have to pull days out of the calendar that are currently closed days. That's it.
It was interesting to see, I think, from a staff perspective, if they would be interested in giving their 2 days in March so that they do get off earlier at the end of the year, the
giving the 2 days in March, I'm not sure what you mean.
The 30th and the 31st, you
Yes.
said? Would be
Staff days.
staff days, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If they would come
Oh,
in.
if they would
those-
trade.
Yeah, if they would
Yeah,
trade
no.
those two for. an
Remember what I
earlier
said?
release.
I said,
Yeah. that
for a
would be
calendar like
interesting.
this, I said you might
isn't
want to
so
do
bad.
exactly what Julie
Yeah.
was suggesting, which is you would ask people that are most impacted.
Yeah. This one's
That's
not too bad.
what you try to do. So it's not only that, remember, though. It's also November is blown up. And in this case, we would have to use the early release day conference model. We would not be able to consider a full day of conferences in this particular calendar. So we'd also be adding 3 extra early release days, which are not very popular to add extra ones. We already do a lot of them for professional development and school operations. This would be 3 additional ones on top of what we already do, which again, usually not the most attractive things for communities. Deepa, you had something?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking aloud because this calendar, the last day is a Tuesday, and usually when families plan vacations, etc., they prefer the end of the week so that they can, use the weekend to travel out or, do things. So having the last day of school in the middle of the week, like Tuesday, Wednesdays, defeats the purpose a little bit when you're vacation planning.
So we approach it very similarly. If we can't end something at the end of a week, we generally don't worry too much about where in the next week it ends. Meaning, if it's not a Friday or if it's not the end of the week, ending on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday, we generally don't make too big a splash to save that. That's why I said before on the other calendar, even if you add 1 day back, you lose the 12th and you go all the way to the Monday, which changes the end value.
Yeah.
Remember last year we talked about the 2 days on winter break, and it was either going to end on Friday or the Wednesday. That was why we didn't do it, because you're not gaining a week. You're gaining 2 days in the middle of a week, which probably doesn't get you too much.
Yeah.
Where adding a whole extra weekend on top of a vacation might have been more attractive. I don't know if it is or not, but
It is.
these are the
It is very
choices.
attractive.
These are the choices.
Yeah, for working families. And,
For working families,
it is
half days are hard
The
for
only
parents.
calendar we were able to get that ended the week prior, which would be June 18th, involves shortening or removing current breaks. Because you can't just remove some of the holidays. It'll be all of the holidays. At least I wouldn't recommend you choose which holidays you want to remove. You could do that. I will be sitting in the background with popcorn. But you can't get to the 18th without ripping apart winter break or removing spring break. There are no more days to remove. Unless you wanted to say, well, we'll just come to school on Martin Luther King Day. Good, that's another one where I'm in the background on popcorn. Presidents, these are traditional holidays. If you start removing some of them, you're just in for a fight I believe you'll lose.
At June. And I'm thinking, well, that's just ridiculous. Because you've got the 18th, again, I'm a little blind here. The 19th is Juneteenth, so they'll have off, right? Then you have Saturday and Sunday, and then we're going to expect kids and parents to come back on 22nd and 23rd. And then you got a professional development day at the end of the year.
Well,
Is it for?
don't worry about the PD day.
Yeah, I know, but I'm looking at that month and I'm thinking, as a parent and a kid, a high schooler, not a senior, because I know they have to go because of graduation, but I'm thinking freshmen. All right, so the 19th is Juneteenth, so they have off. And then you're going to want them to come back for 2 half-days.
Want to come back is kind of a legal thing.
I know, but I'm also thinking the way, are they going to want to come back? It's a half a day. So
I'm
these are
the
things
messenger.
I'm thinking of.
I am sharing opportunities that exist with the flexibility
I
a
know.
calendar provides.
I get it.
When are we voting on this, Scott?
Say?
When is going to be finalized?
Well, I'm going to get feedback tonight
Okay,
and then cancel out some of the iterations.
okay,
And then probably provide 2 or 3 versions of the same idea,
okay.
right? Like if you say blow up November, I might show you 2 or 3 different versions of what that could look like. They all will end on the same time, but I'll show you a few different versions of that. If you said keep November, or you say, just listen, Scott, we're just keep it traditional. Just do what we do. And sorry it ends late. It's the way the year unfolds. We keep everything we currently have. That works for us. Then I don't have to do too much. I'm kind of done. I'll tell you, it's the first calendar. I mean, that's kind of done already. So that's kind of what I'm doing tonight, is giving the board. And the reason I didn't send these all out to you early, if you can imagine what you guys would have done to yourself, trying to figure out what they all meant. I gave you the one traditional calendar, and then told you what it looks like when you break out certain pieces. But I wanted to be here to answer your questions, give you some time, and see where you guys are. Now, again, we're not voting tonight. This is kind of like, I'm interested in what your feedback is, so I can come back and present and get back with my team, which includes teaching staff and administrative staff, to come back and say, look, here's what we're looking at. We have one more.
Oh, we have one?
Yeah, for fun.
Oh, okay.
This is the one that has no weekends. No, just kidding. Can we see number 6? We removed weekends. We go straight, 180 days straight, and then we're done. No days off. I don't believe there's anything that stops us from going to school on Saturdays, actually, but. I might be buying the tomatoes.
Think about parents on Sunday. They're like, oh my God, it's Monday tomorrow, thank God. And we got 25 kids 5 days a week.
All right. So calendar 6 is again another version combining the best of all worlds, right? So this is no holidays. This is no November. This is a spring break for students, not for staff. This is the one where you lose all your voting elections the next time you try to run. If you don't want to be a board member anymore, this is the one you will vote for. Yeah, and if you want your house, this want to stay at your house. So again, we can skip this one, I think, and we can have now a frank conversation. We can just forget those for a minute. Just keep them up there. Just Reg, don't lose them all yet, just in case. But let's just forget those for a second. Here, can you go back to my first page, Reg? And the reason I feel Reggie's helping me out, I was unable to figure out how to get the calendars into a visible slideshow. I just couldn't do it. So when I realized I was not going to be able to be successful, I sent them to Reggie, and he's being very gracious. So thank you, Reggie. So let's go back to the key issues up top. Forget the stuff below that. Number 1 and number 2 are not for negotiation. We have control over the holidays. So let's just start there. Do we have a Board of Education interested in a calendar that removes religious holidays, as I've shown, and the benefit, of course, is ending 2 weeks earlier, but to end 2 weeks earlier also means cutting into winter break and into spring break. If you just were to take off the religious holidays, you'd be saving all the religious holiday days plus Juneteenth, because you'd be ending before it, and you'd be saving 8 school days. To deepest point, you'd still be going into that next week, but you'd be about a week and a half earlier than we're ending with a traditional calendar. Anyone want to make a recommendation or thought or anything on just question number 3, which is, how do we address religious holidays?
Keep the religious holidays. It's not worth it. It's not worth fighting.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think we should keep them, and not even because of the fight. I think that we have to look at the whole picture, how education is important. We all know that. That's why we're here. But family and tradition and celebrating other aspects of our lives are just as important.
Okay. So, anyone else?
I agree. And the reason I agree is if you take away your religious holidays, you will be taking the students out of the classroom because they will not show up because they're with their family.
Okay.
And then you have an issue, I believe, with the teaching aspect, that there will be many that will miss a day of teaching.
Yes, you do.
And I don't think it's
All right.
worth it.
Does anyone have another thought they want to add, or a differing thought?
I think it also gives enough break all along. So it's not a band. They are distributed. They're not all together as a cluster. So that does give a good balance, even for kids also. So
All right, so number
no harm.
3, we are not interested in number 3, correct? Okay. So now remember where we are. We are ending the school year somewhere in that last week. Because nothing I was unable to provide anything other than breaking up winter break, which I'm not hearing any real interest for, or removing spring break. Those are my only options to end before the 23rd. All right, so let's go now to number 4. No, yes, number 4. November. We have a keep November.
So I like the idea of breaking those 3 days, the NJEA week, which I think you showed so many drafts. I'm a bit blurry on that, but I think you showed one where we have November 4th as a holiday, and we use that one PD day.
We don't have to have November 4th as a day, though. It could be a full school.
Okay, so in that case, if 3 days in a row, PD days, and then the 2 NJEA days becomes too much for teachers, thinking from their point of view, if you could break that up, that gives them some space, as well as it gives us an ability to plug in that PD day as a holiday elsewhere, where a month like of February or maybe January is very sparsely, there are no holidays
Okay.
other than.
So you're open to the idea of a different November?
Yes.
Okay.
be too popular with the staff, but again, one of the PD days can, if works out, can be used, there may be a religious holiday for that, if that is possible. So then you don't have a school off that day, but.
We can make it what's called a flex day.
Okay.
But it's not a day off, it's just a different usage of how we do professional development.
Yeah.
No,
but
but yes, you'd have flexibility.
PD on
Yes.
on a religious holiday, which again they won't get the holiday, so it's not a
Right,
popular choice. But that's an option.
There's a good day on the calendar though, January 2nd. If we were going to flex a day, January 2nd works very nicely for that, actually, because teachers wouldn't have to come in on the 2nd. It would be a day that they take in some other way, but that day would then be a plug-in day so that no one comes back to school that weird Friday. So to your point, Rajesh, there's ways to manipulate that. So if we are open to not having November be that, it would give us a lot of flexibility in how we use those blue chips.
Would you, as administration, consider moving one of those blue chips to President's Day weekend, which would be the 17th?
Yeah, I said that before.
Oh, I'm sorry. I may have missed you. I'm sorry.
You're able to move them
Okay.
to make other short breaks.
Right. 'Cause
Attached for
17th
families, yes.
February is very cold. People want to stay home.
It's true. We did move to New Jersey, though. Any other thoughts on November?
Three professional days in a row, and then the convention, that's a lot. That's a lot on a teacher. That's a lot. I'm not crazy about that they have to do that. And if you're saying that history shows that it was kind of a drag in the past for them to do that, I don't know, I think we should.
I haven't shared that. I'm not saying that the teachers have said we don't, I'm not saying that. I'm just suggesting that we think we could also do PD differently.
Yeah.
And make it more balanced and valuable in a different way, and we think there'd be support. We did have, people from the association looking at these. Again, the association members weren't saying, this is the one we want. We're speaking on, and they were being thoughtful, just like we're all being thoughtful about what might be best for the district and staff and students.
Is there, in the contract, is there anything where the teachers need to be here before and after a holiday?
There's nothing in the contract except the new sick day law about blackout days for sick time.
Okay, that's it, though.
But that's at a district local level, we don't have a contract that says you can't take a personal day after a holiday. We do not have a contract that's.
So let's say if we were going to school on the 2nd, you're going to go on the 2nd.
People could take a personal day.
They can take a personal
They
day
can.
on the 2nd, okay.
We think staffing on that day would be a challenge, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's why I was asking
We do.
that. Okay,
I would be a hard time finding me on that day.
okay.
Why is there a delayed opening on the February 9th?
Because the Jets are going to probably win the Super Bowl next year.
Oh, this is the Super Bowl. Okay, so, all right,
Obviously.
all right, I'm going to say I'm open to moving.
The reason we have a delayed
We could
opening,
go
the
to
real reason,
January,
the
February.
real reason, because not the Jets will ever be in the Super Bowl,
Long
but the real
weekends.
reason is we have a give back time for night
Yes.
conferences. So instead of, we do it on a day where, like this year, for example, it might be, we have that day this year. It might be very helpful if the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl. Commander's looking good, people. I don't think you should be so confident.
I think that by extending
Jets still have a
weekends in January and/or February, also potentially, I'm not saying it will, but you never know when that snow day will hit. If it hits on a day that they're off in January or February, then you're not dealing with something in May. Of course, who knows? But I think you're also giving a longer weekend in February
Well,
after
remember,
President's Day.
That's a suggestion of where
A
you could place a
suggestion.
blue chip.
Yes, yes,
The question still revolves, I know,
yes, open to
We
moving
sway.
November.
just November.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
we, as a board, we have a lot of yays, a nay. I didn't forget you, Smitha, don't worry.
Move.
Are there any other yays or nays in particular? Mike's a nay, Smitha's a nay.
What are we voting on?
You're not voting,
No, no,
you're
no,
giving
no,
me
wrong
stuff to take
Wrong
back.
choice of words. Are we saying?
November.
Yay, take part November or not take a part November?
Take apart
Take
November.
a part. Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure I understood.
Yes. No one, you don't have to, I'm just taking what I hear.
understand.
Any other opinions or thoughts?
I say yay, give it a shot.
Julie? Well,
I
Raja was a yay? Julie?
I just think, too, that it seems like traditionally having it the way it is now breaks up kids' learning structure because we're taking so many days in November and then right away we're into Christmas break, that they don't really have that a structure or, the time put in where they're really digging in.
And that's been shared with us too, that instructionally, the November is not best.
Yeah,
That's not a good instructional
Yeah.
model.
because it just breaks it up.
Yeah. Just remember, if we do blow up November, it does come with early release days for conferences, which again is not new to the district. It is a way that it is handled. It is handled like that probably in most districts still today. That's not a weird thing. So, all right, let's keep moving. Spring break. Is there any interest in breaking apart spring break for anybody, either staff or students?
And that's the 30th of March through the
It's whenever spring break would be. Whenever it would be. Anyone interested in breaking up spring break? Even if it gets you 3 days back on the calendar. If it gets you $10 more each. No.
I would like to hear from the teachers on that, quite frankly. I really would, because if it takes time off at the end of the year.
We could ask a couple of
Yes.
questions.
I just want to know.
Yeah, that's
Just
not
wanna know.
unreasonable to ask.
I'm not saying yay or nay, I'm just curious.
All right, so we can ask a question about spring break and about November. We can ask both and
If
see
you're
what
gonna
we get. Doesn't hurt to
More days
ask.
off in June, it might be a possibility for you.
Is there any reason anybody wants to make sure we come back on Friday for school of January 2nd, winter recess? Is there anyone arguing that we should do winter recess differently than come to school on the Monday, Tuesday? We're off again until we come back after the full week ending on January 2nd.
Yeah, we should come, I like that.
We should not come back on Friday the 2nd.
Correct.
Anyone saying we should? If it saves you another day at the end of the year.
Flex day for PD, then it
Then it
works
wouldn't
out.
matter anyway.
Yeah.
As long as everyone comes, what I'm hearing is as long as no one's coming back to work or learn on that Friday, do something else.
Yes.
Got you. Everyone good with that?
With that,
Huh?
we're coming back the following Monday.
You come back on the Monday. No one would come back on the Friday. If we make it a flex
okay.
PD day, nobody would be coming into school. The flex
That
would come in a
Friday.
different
Okay.
way.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, we
I
wouldn't.
misunderstood.
Yeah, no, I get it. School end date, remember, this is the big thing we're talking about. Our choices, we've eliminated ending in the June 12th category. That's gone. Remember, all of the things we're currently talking about, including November blow-up, and if we maintain the full spring break, we're ending on the 26th, maybe the 25th. That's about it, though. That's what you're tasking me to go back and ask staff what they feel about a couple of things. But I will be presenting to you a calendar options that include ending most likely on either the 25th or 26th. That's pretty much, I'm just being straight with you. That's what it will be. I'm very, I'm good with it. It doesn't matter, but that's what it comes to.
I think we got to kind of look at this now that our township has become so diverse in a wonderful way, that now we're celebrating holidays because of our population that we didn't celebrate before. And because of that, now we go to the end of June. And I think that's personally, I mean, it's tough at the end of June. I'm in there with kids, so I get it. But I think that's a really good thing. And Rajesh brought it up, and he said it's a break. Like it gives us, throughout the school year, breaks. And we need it. The kids need it. The staff needs it. So I think that we need to point that out.
All right, so
because
here's what I'm going to point out. For any newspaper reporters watching who are going to report, any families reporting, the South Brunswick Board of Education has rejected the idea of canceling holidays and having school on religious holidays that we currently celebrate in our town. Is that correct, Board?
that is correct.
Okay, to all of our local newspapers, please, you cannot need to print. The board has considered and rejected the concept. Okay. I guarantee we'll be reading about that on Monday.
And about snow days.
Yes.
So there are several districts around the country where we have it marked as a snow day. So I'm going to look at April, and it's 6th, right, and May 26th. A lot of them do virtual when they know the snow is coming. We know when the snow is coming. Is that ever an option for us?
No.
To say, and can I ask why?
The state.
It's state. We're
Governor.
not legally
Oh,
allowed
that's
to
right.
do that.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
That's an easy one for me.
Forgot about him. Sorry.
I never forget about him.
Go back,
Wait,
hello.
Mike,
I'm just going to go back. I thought I heard you say that Christmas is a federal holiday.
yes.
So with respect to that, is there a way to markate Christmas/winter break? Since it's a federal holiday, it should be listed on our side schedule.
Well, on our side schedule, we do not list
It
a lot
used
of
to be
federal
listed-
holidays.
It used to be listed, I don't know exactly when we changed, but I think we're going back maybe 10 years.
I'm not sure.
Well, I see Julie's point, though.
holiday.
Julie's point is that Christians in this township, that is their biggest holiday. That is a big, big holiday. And all the other big holidays are listed as big holidays. And as Christians, they would like it to be celebrated or known that that is our big holiday, and we're respecting
It's not about
that.
celebrate, it's about acknowledgement.
Exactly. Acknowledging that that is the big holiday. So I think that's why, am I getting that, Jewel, that, so, like Yom Kippur is a big holiday, and Eid is a big holiday, and it's in writing, and that's a wonderful thing. So as Christians, I think you're saying that we just would like that, saying winter break / Christmas. Correct? Is that what you were saying?
If we were to agree to, if that's what the board wants, we would not attach it to winter break, because then you're saying you're getting a Christmas break, which you're not. You're
No.
getting a winter recess break.
You're
So
misunderstanding.
we'd have to, I'm actually, I'm just saying the way it would come out on the calendar, if we do that, it would not be / winter break. It would be the 25th is Christmas, that's what it would say. It would not say we're having a winter break / Christmas, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Winter break, the 25th, Christmas, the 26th through the
Through-
31st, winter break.
Correct. I'm just saying that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
If the board wants me to do that, the board should consider,
To me.
when you say all federal holidays, we do not do that for federal holidays right now.
If you want to do it, that's fine.
I'm just saying they're not currently listed. Federal holidays are not currently listed.
Correct, I know.
So
We're
is
listing all
So is Tu
holidays.
B'Shvat. So is other holidays
Right.
that people
But it's-
take.
You're
I'm not agreeing or disagreeing.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just
you're-
saying whenever you open up
you're
a holiday.
holidays that are great significance within the district.
But they're not, what he's saying is they're not federal holidays.
I know, but you're still acknowledging them on the camera.
But we're
on
not.
the calendars.
But we're not. We don't acknowledge any holidays on the calendar that fall on a non-school day. We would not put Diwali on the calendar if it was not on a school day. We would not put Yom Kippur on the calendar if it was not on a school day.
But Christmas is on the school calendar.
No, it's not.
It's not on a school
during
day.
winter break.
I see your rationale for that.
I understand what you're saying. Being Christian, I get it. I understand, I agree. But it's not, it's a federal holiday, and it is not on a school day. We are taking that day off because it's a federal requirement. Now, like
Well,
you said,
no,
if
no, no.
Diwali
Wait,
or if
Lisa,
Yom
Lisa, that's not
Kippur
accurate,
was
Lisa.
not on,
Lisa.
I'm sorry, let me finish.
It's just not accurate, though.
It's not falling on a school day.
That is accurate.
Correct. My point, though, is if Yom Kippur, October 2nd, was actually on October 5th, you would not see Yom Kippur on here.
That's correct.
The only reason October 2nd, Yom Kippur, is on here is because it is on a Thursday. I understand what you're saying, and partly I do agree that we should recognize
It's a
Christmas.
philosophical
But if you
discussion.
recognize Christmas, you have to recognize every holiday on this calendar, if it falls on a Saturday or Sunday.
Why?
No,
I won't-
if
I
it
won't-
falls
I won't answer that.
on a day that we normally have school. We don't normally have school on Christmas. That, we're off anyway. So let's just look at it as a weekend, because we are normally off at that time. So the only holidays that we're acknowledging on the calendar are days that land Monday through Friday that we would ordinarily have school. If Christmas wasn't on the 25th, we would still have that day off. Like, it just so happens that our holiday falls within the time period we have off for winter break. That's what Lisa's saying. Whereas the other holidays that we have fall on days that, if it wasn't that holiday, we'd be in school. So I think
I
that.
just don't understand the why we can't identify.
I mean, I don't
that
think
is
it's.
the main
right.
holiday
Let me
for
ask you this,
Christians.
let's
I don't
flip
think
it.
it's that big of
Why
a
can't
deal
we-
to put it on the
you can
calendar.
Let's
though?
flip it. Let's flip it for a minute, okay? Let's just assume for a minute that on, let's see, October 2nd, which is Yom Kippur, let's assume for a moment it lands on the 5th. Let's assume for a moment Diwali, which is actually on the 20th, lands on the 19th, so on and so forth. For every single religious holiday, you would want every single holiday
No,
list.
I'm not
No,
asking.
no, let me finish.
I'm not
You-
asking.
But you are.
No, I'm not.
I give up.
I'm not asking for that.
All right.
I'm asking
If
for-
you want if you want Christmas holiday to be recognized, okay, while we don't have school, then you have to recognize every holiday when we don't have school.
Well, I would think every major holiday.
Well, why don't you just think about.
What is a major holiday?
Why don't you just talk about the holidays we currently observe?
Yeah.
So if we look at the holidays we
Yeah.
currently observe, we observe those days by having a school day closed. We never, ever have acknowledged any of those holidays, including Easter, which we never acknowledge on a calendar.
We did previously.
But we don't now.
I can't speak about anything that happened before
Well,
8
he
years
was
ago,
saying
so I
previously.
couldn't tell you.
We've never, no, I'm sorry.
But what I'm saying is we don't currently acknowledge holidays by name on a calendar where we are already closed for school. We don't do that currently. I think what I'm hearing is if you want that to happen, then you'd have to acknowledge every existing currently holiday you currently acknowledge in the same way, regardless of the day it falls upon. You would just be saying your calendar would be a 7-day calendar. It would no longer be a 5-day calendar, because you can't acknowledge something on the right when there's no day to acknowledge on the calendar. That would confuse people to no end. You would just be acknowledging that every time there's a holiday that we currently observe, you'd be labeling it somewhere on the calendar to a day that doesn't currently exist as a school day.
Why don't we have a 7-day calendar? I know my district it's
Because
7 days.
we're a school. There's no school. The 7-day calendar exists. That's on the website.
Okay.
And I think on that calendar, I don't know if somebody check on their phone for me, is the calendar on the website, does that actually list Easter or Christmas or any other holiday? I believe it might.
No, I checked it.
It's a calendar that shows every single day of the week of the
Right,
month.
right.
Per month. Next
Right.
page, another month.
Right.
This calendar is a school closure and open calendar. That's what this calendar is. A whole calendar for the year is a different calendar.
But philosophically speaking, you take those days off for the holiday. You're giving that for families to
Traditionally.
celebrate that holiday. But when it comes to us celebrating our major holiday, we're not acknowledged.
Well, how do you want to acknowledge Diwali on here? The day off? What would you like it to say?
Well, I'm.
No, what would we like it to say?
You're pushing.
I'm not
the
pushing
positive-
anything.
You're pushing the negative there.
No,
I
he's
don't get what-
saying the reason the day is off is due to this. So if you don't want
No
the
holiday?
holidays to be recognized, then we just say, no school. Could we do that? Can we say just no school?
For what?
Do we have to recognize the holiday? Do we have to say Yom Kippur is October 2nd? Why not just say October 2nd, it's a day off, and let people in the community assume what it is? We could do that.
I don't understand the problem behind it. Like, I don't understand, like, recognizing that we're off on the 24th for winter break, we're off on the 25th for
listed.
Christmas, and then we're off from the 26th to the 2nd for winter break. I don't understand the harm behind it.
Because we
And
are
at least
not-
as our
there's no
major
harm.
holiday,
There's no harm.
then
But
what's
we're
the
not in
problem? Then what's the
school.
problem? If there's no harm, what's the problem?
Then you have to recognize every holiday.
No, you do
that
not,
is not
because
Monday
then we'll
through
get all the
Friday.
Christian holidays in there, all the Jewish
Oh my
holidays in
God.
there. All
We
like-
have Good Friday up there. You got Good Friday, do we not? We recognize Good Friday?
No.
We don't? Okay, so let's recognize Good Friday. And then when there's a holiday or on a Saturday and Sunday, the question is, should we recognize the holiday?
So, can I say something?
That's the question.
I think the question on the table here is, if we are going to recognize major religious holidays that fall on a weekend, how do we represent them
Correct.
on this calendar? I think that's the question on the table.
It's not listed in the calendar on the school district website.
Not.
Well, you just said it was.
We just checked. It's not. I said I wasn't sure. It's not.
I think that's the question. The question is more about if it's a religious holiday that is either on a holiday, that is a Saturday or a Sunday, or a break that is mandatory that we provide as a district, how do we recognize that religious observance? That's
We're
the
not,
question.
we are not observing the holiday as a
We
school.
are not correct.
That's the answer.
Okay, the semantics. We are not observing the holiday. We are acknowledging that there
We're
is
we're
a
not,
religious.
but we're not.
But I think that is
I understand the question. I'm just, you're asking me a question. I'm telling you the
But we're
answer.
observing all the other major holidays.
We're
not
observing-
No,
We're observing holidays that fall on school days where we otherwise would be in school.
I think last year Diwali was on
That's all.
weekend, and it was not acknowledged. It was not on the calendar, and I had the same conversation with Scott, and it made sense to not have it.
I mean, I see both sides. I see why we don't, because we're already off.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, I absolutely see that.
But I think that is not the question is about respecting the
And that-
sentiments of
and I see
acknowledgement.
that point too.
Yeah,
Like,
that
should
is the
like,
question.
exactly.
And I
Rajesh,
think,
can we get, let Rajesh get a word in?
Here's a suggestion to kind of break the ice, and maybe it may not keep everybody happy, but I see 24th is off. Is there a reason specific for that? Can we do an early release on that, 25th being Christmas holiday, and then winter
You-
break starting 26th
You
to 2?
absolutely can be in school on the 24th.
No, so then 25th is Christmas holiday, and 26th through 2nd can be winter break.
So just so you know, on the district calendar, every single religious holiday is listed, even if it's a Saturday, a Sunday, or the time that we're off. So for example, Yom Kippur, was that right? Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is listed on a Saturday. So the district site, so the entire community can see that particular holiday is listed. This calendar that we're looking at is a school closure holiday, which defines the reason why we are having off. So if you just put October 2nd with no reason why, you're going to have parents going, why do we have October 2nd off? So you could put Christmas Day. I don't really care. I think this is a ridiculous conversation in my aspect. I mean, we really are. It's ridiculous.
Why? Because we disagree with you,
Because
Lisa?
we're off that
we
day.
disagree with you, Lisa?
Because for years, we've never done it.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
That
okay.
is not true.
Okay.
But because
I'm
we
done.
disagree with you, like,
No.
it's not ridiculous.
No,
Because Julie wants what she believes to be respected
Correct.
in writing. That's
Correct.
wrong.
So then,
wait,
either
just
take it
because
all
we
off
don't
or put them
agree
all on.
with you
No, I never
doesn't
said that.
mean it's ridiculous.
No, Laura, I'm sorry. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said that.
No, don't put, I never said.
Time out, time
Okay?
out. First of all, it's
The
not,
question here is, do you want them all on or do you want them all off?
time out, time out.
That's the question.
We have a kind of a discrepancy in that on the school calendar, Christmas Day is listed. But on our other calendar, it's not listed. But this is the calendar that people look at. This is the calendar that people identify. And I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for all Christians in the district. I just think it's a slighting for all the Christians in the township who celebrate their high holiday at Christmas. That's all I'm saying. It's not for me. I can handle winter break because my children are all grown. When my children were in school, it was listed as Christmas. Then something happened and we switched it. I'm just asking for a little, stop. I'm asking for a little I'm asking for a little discretion to say Christmas/winter break. What would that hurt? What really would that hurt anyone? I don't think you're going to get pushback from anyone.
Because you're not celebrating winter break as Christmas holiday. It's one day.
Can we just solve this at another time? Because this is just getting out of control.
I know, I'm ready to move on, whenever you guys are ready.
We'll bring it back up. This isn't the end, so let's move on, Scott.
I just got to produce a calendar. Whether it has a word or doesn't have a word doesn't change my work.
Just take the days off, the words. Just put the day, October 2nd.
Right now, I'm going to produce a calendar as we produce a calendar, and you guys, as you're saying, we will pick up this conversation another time. Okay. So I'm going to, as I was saying, I'm going to move forward with asking 2 questions about spring break in November, and then I will get that answer. I think I have my direction from this group, and I'll present the board in advance with some options to look at so that when we come back, we will be talking about the options I present and voting on one of the options. The goal would be to have that done at the next board meeting. At no time does the conversation you're currently having, that could happen whenever. That doesn't change anything about what needs to be done, which is we need a calendar. Whether there's words on the calendar or not, I need boxes that are colored and tell you what we're closed or open. That's what I need to do. And then we'll leave it to the board for the rest. Good?
We're good.
All right.
Let's move on. Okay, Mr. Pulowski, we are going to go through the consent agenda review.
Okay, everybody, we have a very succinct consent agenda this evening. We have some transfers, some financials, a bills list, and some non-public technology orders, your typical business office motions. We have a approval of the lease purchase services. We're looking to work with the Hunterdon County ESC to have them put out an RFP for responses for some lease purchase options for a couple of vehicles. We have an approved, 1.6 is an approved increase not to exceed amounts for some educational consultant services. We're approving an extension for some professional services for students, special services and special education related services. We're approving professional services for Prime Healthcare services for home instruction and not to exceed. We have a couple of transportation contracts. some displaced students tuition contracts, and we're approving some out-of-district tuition adjustments. 112 is in out-of-district placements. All of those are listed in backup. We have our HIB intimidation bullying reports, student field trips, and some related expense reimbursements for travel. And that would be, you also have your committee and liaison assignments, and we have a district's McKinney-Vento liaison, Sybil Pugh, in our assessment superintendent, our assessments department, working with Suzanne Luckmore. And then you have your personnel. That's your consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Raja? Can I have a second? Smita? All in favor?
No, roll call.
Oh, first roll call?
It's just a roll call.
Stop.
You had opportunity for discussion.
Oh, correct. Sorry about that.
Opportunities for this. You'll
Anybody
get it.
have any questions for Mr. Pulowski? Anybody have any for, okay. Now roll call.
Roll call vote. Ms. Julie Ferrara?
Accept.
Ms. Laura Hernandez?
Yes.
Mrs. Deepa Karthik?
Yes.
Ms. Alicia Khan?
Yes.
Mr. Raja Krishna?
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell?
Yes.
Dr. Smitha Raj?
Yes.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers? Mr. Rajesh Soni?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, can I jump in for a moment, please? I'd like to bring to the mic Mr. Jeffrey Johnson. There he is. You have just approved Jeff to be our acting athletic director, and he was excited, and so excited he sat through the calendar conversation. That shows true commitment right there. So we thank you, Jeff, and if you want to say any words.
Just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Scott. And I just look forward to carrying on the excellence with the athletic department and working with all of you. So thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
Jeff. Jeff, we are going to need you to come back in 2 weeks to rehear the calendar conversation. So,
And we welcome all of you also.
from the athletic director perspective.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Okay, please note that the next scheduled Board of Education meeting is set for Thursday, February 13th. At this, we say to you, good night, South Brunswick.
Adjourn.
Oh, motion to adjourn. I'll get this. I swear I will get this. I will get this. Julie's motion. Second, Mike, all in favor?
Aye.